oh no, everybody I got a big dog inside, and it's about the dog in me. A dog in the morning, dog in the evening. Yeah, that's me.
Nothing of these topics is being missed here. Exactly. Well, what am I going to have on the page? Home, story, dates, videos, photos, store, and music, and www contacts. And when you come on each single page, you're still going to have, other than the single page, you are going to have under pages. So when you come to home, for instance, you have the first page that links to Missalpha Tell You How It Is, where I do the Missalpha Tell You How It Is, like I'm telling you now how it is. Then you also have the news and the tweets, because tweets and news is also basically telling you how it is. And actually ordering all that is loads of work. Ordering all that in your head and trying to make it all logical for somebody else who will be using that is actually the main work. Actually, the details of the things that I have to do, like when I have to do a small interview to put on Missalpha Tell You How It Is and stuff like that, is not the main work. The main work is really when you're trying to figure out how to present something that you know somebody else is going to use, and they have to right away tap into that and get the sense of what you're trying to do. That's the real hard work. But I'm not a perfectionist, but I'm very specific about the way I present things. So I said I'm going to present it the 29th based on stuff that has already been released. I still wanted the story to be added and the dates to be added, because I know that the question is being asked, when are you going on tour, when are you going to do this, and all those questions can't always be answered at once, especially if people are not asking direct questions but are only speculating, because speculating does not lead to clarity. So I would appreciate it if there are any real questions, no more speculating, just to come out and ask me, whether it's in an interview, whether it's asking me through, contacting me through the page. It's better than speculating a whole lot of crap and bothering me with it, because I really don't like being bothered with speculations, because I don't know what that is about. I don't understand what a speculation is about. If you know you want to know something, just come out and ask it, and you'll get an answer, and then you'll have clarity of whatever it is that you are thinking or yeah, imagining it should or is in another way. Anyway, what I'm gonna have, it's gonna be a very simple page. I think the single page, you are going to have under pages. So when you come to home, for instance, you have the first page that links to Missalpha Tell You How It Is, where I do the Missalpha Tell You How It Is, like I'm telling you now how it is. Then you also have the news and the tweets, because tweets and news is also basically telling you how it is. Another thing I would like to go into concerning cosmopolitan immigrant is this, because always when I talk about the theme about the cosmopolitan immigrant actually progressing and reaching a certain level in life, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that it's about things, as in a big car, just and this and that. But that's not what it's about, because it's not hard also for an immigrant, if you have a certain kind of smartness about you, to go to the bank and to borrow money and to tap into that other kind of superficial way of civilization that the Western world offers so generously. To borrow money from the bank and to get a car, to sit in it and to act like you got it made. It's not very difficult to do that, but that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what, for me, the cosmopolitan immigrant is about. That is not what it's about. It's about having a dream and reaching for it and going it step for step and actually reaching it, actually getting there. Of course, you can borrow money to do this or do that, but the point is, if you are living an everyday life on credit, and on many credits that you have taken to live that dream, you're not really living your dream. So I would not like people to totally misunderstand that message of the cosmopolitan immigrant and turn something superficial and trivial out of it, because that's not what it's about. Because living on a credit card you can do from everywhere. You don't have to travel across the world to learn another language, to borrow money from a bank to do so. If you want to borrow money from a bank and that's your life's mission, you can do that by having no dream as well, so, and not achieving a dream as well. So that's not what I'm talking about, and I would really appreciate it if people do not mix up those two things, because that's not what it's about. With the upcoming release, Adaptable Uncensored Creatures, there's a lot of different influences that go into creating this process, but basically it's a follow-up of the first release I did it was around 2008. It tells a story about how actually the story began about how it feels for an immigrant to be in a place where they are not really, well, they are integrated, but not really in the place where they imagined themselves to be. When you come from a country that is financially not developed as a Western civilization, and you have certain kind of expectations. Not only you have these expectations, but other people have these expectations of you too. It's maybe a big load, which is not very comparable to the reality of actually moving into a Western civilization, because it's a little bit more complicated than the thought that there's gold everywhere laying on the street. So there's no truth to that, but what is there, what you could perceive as gold, is opportunities. There's opportunities to be taken, and basically Adaptable Uncensored Creatures is about adapting. It's about adapting in your surroundings, it's about adapting in your world, it's about coming to terms of with yourself, about who you are and where you are going, and most importantly where you've also been, where you come from. So yeah, your roots, and coming from that inspiration, your own roots, taking that to wherever you want to go in the world. Because as long as there's the possibility to travel, we are all free to go wherever we want to go, not only in the physical sense of actually traveling, but also spiritually and mentally. And Adaptable Uncensored Creatures is basically the project with which I am coming to terms of finally being able to explain the topic with which I started actually Neobiota some years ago in 2008. But I think that because this is such a complex theme, such a complex topic, I don't think it is as easy understandable for somebody who is not coming from another place, for somebody who is well situated in the place where they got born, in the place where they got raised, in the place where they simply are. For me and for many immigrants, that's a whole nother story. You have to come to a certain place, you have to get used to your surroundings, and while you're doing that, you have to do all the other things that other people do too. You have to go to work, you have to go to school, you have to get ahead, because this is not a society where you can live comfortable or even happy if you don't, if you can't participate in certain things, if you don't achieve certain things. So this is actually what Adaptable Uncensored Creatures is about. And I already made a point that a lot of people always, when I talk about the topic immigrant, they right away think in a cultural matter of immigrant, poor immigrant, the African woman or man or person with the headbando, or the Turkish woman who doesn't read, who doesn't write, who doesn't do nothing. And I want to take the topic of immigrant to the next level. I want to take it out of that place, because I think that for everybody who has traveled the mile, who has done the work of going to school, who has well integrated themselves in the society. I think that it's kind of the biggest insult to keep being confronted with those kind of very, very pathetic stigmatizations of who you are according to people who are not developed in what integration means, because integration means coming to terms with your surroundings and actually being part of that, participating in that. So while you are participating in that because you've done the work, it is actually every time you meet a border or a bridge you have to cross and burn because some kind of person, some kind of, I say, racist-minded person is not understanding that integration means that you are not that person that just came from the plane and still has to learn the language. It means that you have adapted. It means that you are a cosmopolitan immigrant. It means that you are well the same as an American that has gone through the system and is now a part of the system, maybe a president. It is the same if you have done the work. And I just really want people to understand with this project that being an immigrant has more phases, it has more levels, it has more levels than the beginning level of being an immigrant and not knowing how to speak the language of the country where you have moved to. It has the levels of going beyond that, and I want to show that not only going beyond that, but going beyond that and reaching the dreams that you have for yourself, though you had to maybe work as double as hard or 3 times as hard to get there. It still means that you have the possibility, and I want to show with cosmopolitan immigrants basically, because this is my main message. This is the most important thing that I'm transporting on this upcoming release. I don't want anybody, I don't want this to surpass anybody. I don't want anybody to forget that this is what this album, this LP, this mixtape is all about. It's about everybody in a Western civilization, wherever in the world, understanding that a cosmopolitan immigrant is as well an immigrant, but more than that, they are well-educated people. They are people who maybe come from a background of not having opportunities, but getting into a place where they do have the opportunities like I have. And doors, lots of doors have to still be opened for people who live in these societies to also be able to participate in achieving your dreams, because as long as those doors stay closed, you might as well have gone to the school, you might as well have done everything, but you still have to deal with the ignorance of the everyday person that does not want to understand that just because you are an immigrant, it does not mean you are not well educated or you do not know what you're doing when you have gone through the same process everybody has, and you have worked maybe 3 times as hard.